Hi there. Well, I'm going to talk about the syllabus here, and I'm in the Canvas shell. We've got the syllabus information, the video that you're watching right now. And then here's the syllabus right here. So we'll click on that. We'll just kind of touch on a few things, and that'll be it. Okay, so here, Brenda Bailey, instructor. This is my cell phone, so if you really need to get a hold of me right away, the cell phone is probably the best. A quick text would work. I also try to watch my email as close as possible. So you can always email me questions. If you need to set up an appointment for a Zoom meeting, and if you're not in Sheridan, that would be fine as well. But you can email me, please do. Don't don't wait, and stress about anything. Just go ahead and shoot me an email, and we can always I can either answer you through another email or get together on Zoom. Now, here's my Zoom link. This is from my personal Zoom room here. But if we ever set up an appointment, I usually just send this link to your email. But in case not, there's my Zoom link. These are the YouTube lesson links. So if you want to go to my YouTube channel, the best way though is I'll explain that when I explain how to use Canvas. There's easier ways than this, but if nothing else, you can always use this as a link to get to my YouTube channel. Okay, we don't have any prerequisites. Now, the only required material is access to Pearson, and you don't have to have a book because in Pearson, there's an ebook embedded in your program in the access that you're getting. So you can just use the ebook, or you can purchase a book. It's up to you. It's just that you don't need to do that. And I have instructions in one of the drop-down boxes, welcome to class, on how to get access through Pearson, which you have to do. You have to have that. And there's a 2-week free access if you need that. And then they'll ask you to pay. Okay, now here's the gradings, probably what you're interested in. I've got 65% will be tests and 35% homework. So we're not going to be having any quizzes because 8 weeks is pretty short and I don't really have a lot of time. So we'll just do the homework and the tests. Make sure that you do the homework. If you decide to forego the homework, the best you can get in the class is a 65%, and that's if you get 100% on all the exams. So you will need to do as much of the homework as you can. You can do late work. I'll go ahead and explain that to you right now. If you miss a homework assignment, I will explain when you watch the video on how to use Pearson, I will explain how you can do late work, and your homework will be deducted 10% for late work, which isn't much, so rather than getting 10 out of 10, you can get a 9 out of 10. You do get full credit for what you've done before the due date, but after the due date, the problems that you do will the points will be deducted. But like I say, it's not a lot. 90% is better than a 0%. Now, when it comes to tests, there's a couple of things that I'll be talking about. First off, I use a lockdown browser called Respondus, and you'll need to download that. I've got an explanation video and a practice test for that Respondus, just to make sure before you start your first exam that you have that lockdown browser downloaded, and you only have to do it once and then onto your computer, and then you're good to go for the rest of the semester. However, and I'll explain this later too, you cannot use a Chromebook and you cannot use your phone for tests. You can use your phone and you can use a Chromebook for homework, but you cannot use Chrome or your phone because of the lockdown browser. So I'm going to highly recommend and just kind of keep reminding you to do that one optional practice test with Respondus. It's one question, and just so that to make sure that you have the lockdown browser for your computer for the test. You do have 2 chances on your tests. Now, what about late? You miss a test, life happens. You can do these late. You can take a late test. What happens on the due date is that next day, Pearson will put a 0 in for that test. Yes, you can replace the 0, and you'll just have to go to the late homework and click on that, and you will be able to take your exam late. I will not take off 10% on your tests if they're late, but it'll be a 0 until you do replace that. Now you get the 2 chances. If you're late, that'll be one of your chances. You get a 0. You can replace it with the second chance. Pearson will take the best of the 2 scores. So if you get a 70% on the test, and then a couple weeks later you think, man, I think I want to try that again, you can go ahead and try that again because you get to the 2 chances, and then it'll take the best of the 2 scores. All right. When it comes to tests, if you bomb a test, contact me. I'll be in the math center. We can Zoom. We can go through the test problem by problem together and try to figure out what went wrong, and then you can retry it. So, it's to your advantage to take them as early as possible so that, we have some time to go over them. And then you can retake it. So, I'm here to make sure that you learn as much as possible. And normally you learn something when you take a test. So you've got some options there. If this didn't make any sense or you still have questions, please contact me. Don't stress about stuff. Contact me, and I'll get back to you as soon as I can. All righty. Now, the grades, 90, 80, 70, 60. You do have a final. The final is considered one of your tests. So I don't make it worth more than the other ones. So it's all, the final would be just like a regular exam towards the end. Here now, let's see, core abilities. Just has a little list here. Competencies. This is kind of what we'll be talking about in the class, and some things that I had to, sometimes your book didn't cover some of these competencies, so I had to bring them in from another book, but I'll tell you when I do. And you wouldn't even notice really, unless you're trying to use the ebook at the same time. Otherwise, you won't even notice. Let's see, the tentative course outline, and let me stress the word tentative. It can always change depending upon what's going on. I do give us 2 full weeks for chapters 1 and 2, and that might be a bit much for some of you. You can always, and I highly encourage you that once you finish 1 week, you move on to the next week, because you may come across a week where things are a little more difficult. You've got, some events going on, and that way you're ahead. So please feel free to work ahead as much as you can. Don't wait. And I'll explain that when I do that, how to use Pearson, that if you do wait till the night before to do all of this homework, well, it's going to seem like a lot. Otherwise, if you pace yourself, spend 45 minutes a day on math, you should be fine. 45 minutes to an hour, depending upon your ability. Okay, so that just kind of gives you an idea where we're going to be. We're going to cover 2 chapters, the first and second week. In the third week, we cover chapters 3 and 4. And then the fourth week, chapters 5 and 6. And then we just do 7 and 8 by themselves. And then part of 10, the week of the final. Let's see. Calculator, please use a calculator. I highly encourage you to use a calculator, especially when we start working on percents in chapter 7. So you can use a calculator on your homework. You can use a calculator on your tests. The key, though, is to make sure that you're not relying on it too much, because there are some math instructors, like when you take 1000 or 930, where you won't be able to use a calculator. So make sure you understand the processes and not just rely on your calculator too much. But you can always use your calculator to check answers, depending. And if you ever need some help using your calculator, how can my calculator help me with fractions? How can it help me with these, well, let's see, with these percentages? And I could help you individually. Obviously, calculators are different. So, all righty. Well, that's kind of a quick overview of the syllabus. If you have any questions, I encourage you to contact me. And just like I say, please don't stress, and we can kind of work on this stuff together. All right. Bye-bye.